Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next 30 minutes. UNGA President Dennis Francis says reform of UN Security Council absolutely necessary. Hopes India will take lead in helping bridge differences. Russian military transport plane carrying 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war crashes in Belgorod region. Many fear dead. Turkish parliament approves Sweden's NATO membership bid, clearing the last hurdle to expand the Western military alliance. Donald Trump wins the New Hampshire primary, but Republican rival Nikki Haley vows to fight on. India is a reliable and highly regarded partner and sends largest number of peacekeeping forces as per President of the 78th session of UN General Assembly, Dennis Francis. The UNGA chief spoke today at a press conference in India's national capital, Delhi.
So reform of the council is absolutely necessary. If you are in a privileged position, you are not necessarily in a hurry to lose privilege. Reform is inescapable. The question then becomes, what is the formula by which this reform would take place? India has been a long-standing partner of the United Nations. India, in fact, contributes one of the largest numbers of peacekeepers to the system. And that is emblematic of India's commitment to multilateralism and to the values and principles that are enshrined in multilateralism. India is a mature, highly respected member of the United Nations. It is a leader in many ways, and I'm sure that that fact is not lost on the members of the General Assembly.
And lauding India as one of UN's oldest partners, UNGA President added that UN expects India to take lead in bridging differences amid challenging times.
India is already a key player both globally and at the United Nations. As the world's largest democracy where unity in diversity has endured for many years, India can relate very easily to principles of universality. UN membership is more divided. As President of the General Assembly, I look to India to lead the charge in our quest to repair the trust deficit among member states.
A Russian military transport plane crashed on Wednesday in Russia's Belgorod region. Russian Defense Ministry said it was carrying Ukrainian prisoners of war that were said to be exchanged in a swap. The plane was carrying 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war and 6 crew members. The military transport aircraft that is designed to airlift troops, cargo, military equipment and weapons. Belgorod region has come under frequent attack from Ukraine in recent months, including a December missile strike that killed 25 people. Meanwhile, a wave of Russian missiles hit Ukraine's 2 largest cities on Tuesday, killing 18 people and injuring more than 130. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, central Ukraine and southern region of Kherson were subject to constant shelling. More than 200 sites were hit, including 139 dwellings. Kharkiv regional governor Ole Sinobov said more than 100 high-rise blocks had been damaged in the first 2 attacks. There were 3 hits in the evening on an apartment block and other infrastructure. Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico met his Ukrainian counterpart, Denis Simal, in western Ukrainian city of Uzhhorod on Wednesday. Slovakia's foreign policy reversed its course to halt military support for Ukraine when Fico took power in October. On Tuesday, Fico, during a news briefing in Slovakia, insisted life in Ukrainian capital was absolutely normal and there was no war. Just hours after Russian missiles fell on Kiev, Fico has said Ukraine could get EU funding and additionally endorse Ukraine's bid for EU membership, but has vowed to block its bid to join the NATO alliance. Turkish parliament approved Sweden's NATO membership bid on Tuesday following more than 4 hours of debate. Lawmakers voted 287 in favour and 55 against, clearing the last major hurdle to expand the Western military alliance after 20 months of delay. Erdogan will sign the bill into law, likely in the coming days. Hungary remains the only NATO member yet to ratify Stockholm's accession. President Tayyip Erdogan's ruling AK party, its nationalist MHP allies and main opposition CHP voted in favour of the bid in the General Assembly, while opposition nationalist and Islamist and leftist parties voted against it. Former US President Donald Trump has won yet another round of Republican presidential contest from New Hampshire on Tuesday, defeating his only remaining rival, Nikki Haley. Trump won 54% of the votes, while Nikki Haley grabbed 44%. After Iowa, Trump has marched closer to the November rematch. Economy, immigration, fentanyl crisis are some of the top concerns of the voters in the elections this year. While at his own party in Nashua, Trump opened his speech by mocking Haley, saying she made speech as if she had won.
You know, we won New Hampshire 3 times now, three. We win it every time. We win the primary, we win the generals, we've won it. And just a little note to Nikki, she's not going to win.
UK government hints that it expects Japan's Fujitsu to pay hundreds of millions of compensation for UK post office scandal. The scandal involves a faulty software system called Horizon, which was developed by Fujitsu and introduced to the post office in 1999. The system was used for accounting and stock taking, but sub-postmasters soon complained about bugs that falsely reported shortfalls. However, Fujitsu declined to comment further, said it would work with the government on appropriate actions, including compensation. German train drivers began the longest strike in the nation's modern history that will last until Monday, affecting both freight and passenger transport services in the country. The strike is the latest in a series of walkouts over working hours, conditions and pay. Industry experts have estimated that the strike will cost Europe's biggest economy up to $110 million per day, warned of reputational damage to German businesses as well. The GDL trade union, which includes train drivers and other rail workers, has said it was forced into the strike after bosses at the national rail operator, and they say tried to trick the workers over their demands for improved pay and conditions. eBay will cut about 1,000 jobs, accounting for 9% of its current workforce, the e-commerce retailer informed on Tuesday. In a letter shared with employees, eBay CEO Jamie Einhorn said that the company's headcount and expenses have exceeded the growth. The job cuts follow a wave of US tech layoffs after industry hired heavily during the pandemic. North Korea fired multiple cruise missiles towards the sea off its west coast on Wednesday, in the latest sign of heightened tensions on the Korean peninsula. The launches were being analyzed by South Korean and US intelligence. The latest firing of missiles by Pyongyang comes as the South Korean Navy's Special Warfare Unit was taking part in training along the east coast in Gangwon province, bordering the north, for 10 days. The North state media also said last week the country conducted a test of its nuclear-capable underwater attack drones in a protest against joint military drills by South Korea, the United States and Japan. South Korea's Defense Minister Shin Won-sik condemned the launches as a serious threat to his country. Shin also warned North Korean leaders' regime would face its demise if it started a war. In a statement, South Korea Joint Chief of Staff did not specify how many missiles were fired, but said further activities by the nuclear-armed North were being monitored. Though the UN Security Council sanctions targeting the North's weapons development do not bar testing of conventionally armed cruise missiles, DD India's Patrick Falk gets us more. China's central bank is set to announce cuts in the amount of cash that banks must hold as reserves from the 5th of February. Governor of People's Bank of China, Pan Gongsheng, said that it will be the first such cutout for the year as policymakers extend efforts to shore up a fragile economic recovery amid plunging stock markets. The Chinese economy has struggled to mount a strong post-COVID recovery last year as distrust in the housing market, local government debt risks and weakening global demand slowed momentum, weighing on investor sentiment at the beginning of this year. Let's now bring you some more world news. Iran's hardline Guardian Council has banned former pragmatist President Hassan Rouhani from standing again in an election in March for Assembly of Experts, which appoints and can dismiss the supreme leader. Rouhani was elected president in a landslide in 2013 and 2017 on a promise to reduce Iran's diplomatic isolation. However, mid-ranking cleric angered political hardliners during his regime. A gas explosion in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, resulted in at least 6 deaths and 11 injuries, including those of 3 firefighters. The truck carrying 60 tons of liquefied natural gas exploded, engulfing several buildings and causing a fire near the Dushingerab market. Over 600 firefighters and 100 vehicles were involved in extinguishing efforts. Train services were disrupted at Edinburgh Waverley Station on Wednesday after storm Jocelyn hit Scotland. Scotland's train services were suspended until late morning on Wednesday, while Network Rail Scotland inspected tracks for damage following the storm, as per Scottish operator ScotRail. Jocelyn marks the 10th named storm of the season to hit Britain. A 32-meter treehouse classroom in the Amazon rainforest is educating adults in remote indigenous communities about logging and mining. Funded by Udemy, it provides accommodation, solar power and satellite internet. The treehouse also serves as a tourist stop and learning hub for researchers and indigenous people. The project has led to a 55% decrease in deforestation in 9 Amazon countries. And we're heading for a short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Thai court rules former prime ministerial candidate Pita Limjaroenrat not guilty of violating election law, will retain his parliamentary seat. Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with tableau artists, NCC cadets and NSS volunteers ahead of Republic Day celebrations. And India beats Poland in the inaugural edition of FIH Hockey Women's World Cup in Muscat.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world, one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
Turning crisis into opportunity, transforming ideas into action, stories of real change. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Thailand's Constitutional Court on Wednesday ruled former prime ministerial candidate Pita Limjaroenrat was not guilty of violating election law. He will return his parliamentary seat. Pita, a senior figure with a progressive opposition, Move Forward had been accused of breaking election law by owning shares in a media company, while a candidate, Move Forward, won last year's election but failed to form a government. Back in India, ahead of the nation's Republic Day celebrations, Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with tableau artists, National Cadet Corps cadets, National Service Scheme volunteers at his residence in New Delhi on Wednesday. Youth Exchange Program cadets from 25 countries and tribal guests of Republic Day celebrations also took part in this event. This year's Republic Day program will be women-centric and the motto is Viksit Bharat. A total of 26 tableaux will participate in the Republic Day parade at Kartavya Path in New Delhi. Addressing the gathering, Prime Minister said next 25 years will be crucial for the country and the youth.
मणि करने का
वो शक्ति है कि जिसको अपनी शक्तियों का ज्ञान है, जिसके हाथ में कमान लक्ष्य पर ही ध्यान है, जो चक्रवात की लहर के सर पे चढ़ के झूम ले कि प्रश्न।
अगले 25 वर्ष देश के लिए, आपके भविष्य के लिए बहुत अहम है। हमारा संकल्प है कि आपकी इस अमृत पीढ़ी का हर सपना पूरा हो। हमारा संकल्प है कि आपकी अमृत पीढ़ी के सामने अवसरों की भरमार हो। हमारा संकल्प है कि अमृत पीढ़ी के रास्ते की हर बाधा दूर हो। जो अनुशासन, फोकस माइंडसेट और कोऑर्डिनेशन मुझे भी आपके परफॉर्मेंस में दिखा, वही अमृत काल के संकल्पों को पूरा करने का आधार है।
It's been 25 years of India and France strategic partnership spanning across sectors including defense, energy, civil aviation and space. As French President arrives in India for Republic Day celebrations, DD India correspondent Jessica Taneja decodes the Indo-French ties.
Invisible reach and instant kill. These Rafale jets with their 150-kilometer strike range can neutralize threats before they even blink. The French-supplied fighter jets enhance India's capability for a two-front war. For decades, France has been India's strategic partner beyond headlines and stealth defense. In May 1998, France defied pressure from its Western partners to fuel India's nuclear dreams, avoided Western sanctions, and even supplied uranium for India's first nuclear power plant. It even refrained from commenting on India's internal affairs.
I thank President Chirac for displaying better understanding of India's position on the question of nuclear test. His stand that economic sanctions will not help has proved to be true.
J'ai été heureux de constater que l'Inde était ouverte à toute solution conforme à ses intérêts, naturellement, et à son rang, et qui permettrait de permettre la non-prolifération dans le monde.
Whether it's former President Jacques Chirac or François Hollande, the enduring strategic partnership between France and India continues to gain momentum based on shared values and aspirations. From building Gaganyaaan's astronaut haven and tracking oil spills to launching satellites.
3, 2, 1, top.
France has been actively supporting India's space ambitions since 43 years. Beyond defense and space cooperation, the Indo-Pacific region takes center stage. French overseas territories generating 93% of its exclusive economic zone provide a strategic vantage point. France and India leveraged this unique geopolitical position to assert their positions on global issues such as multilateralism, protection of the global commons, and freedom of navigation. Notably, France was the first country outside India's immediate neighborhood to conduct coordinated naval patrols in the Indian Ocean. Even though both nations commit to working together to ensure that there is no imbalance in the Indo-Pacific and navigate multipolarity together, the driving force of the Indo-Franco relations is in the sovereign realm of strategy and security, where the state's role is greater than the economy. Jessica Taneja for DD India.
Borj Brende, the president of the World Economic Forum, has hailed India's rising economy and said that the country is currently seeing an exponential growth. Brende also said that India could end up $10 trillion economy in a decade. In a statement, he linked India's growth story to a snowball which grows bigger and bigger once it is given a push. Adding further, he said India's economy would continue to grow with reforms, transparency, investments and without conflicts. India's dynamic foreign policy and diplomacy has been many a times debated globally. It is also believed that Prime Minister Modi's foreign policy has encouraged new Asianism, nationalism and market-oriented economy to play a vital role in the contemporary global world. Recently, historian Niall Ferguson talked about closer India-US ties and said the relationship is highly contingent on the scenario. He stressed that despite being wooed by the United States as part of its Asia strategy, Prime Minister Modi knows India has options, adding further that he said that India doesn't need to make an unconditional commitment to American foreign policy. Ferguson also credited India for breaking the old perception about its stagnant infrastructure growth, which the country has strikingly transformed now. The Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra is being undertaken across the country with the aim to inform people about government welfare measures, ensuring that the benefits reach the targeted beneficiaries in a time-bound manner. The Yatra reached Narnaul city in the North Indian state of Haryana. The local communities responded to it with great enthusiasm and active engagement. Various stalls showcasing central government schemes were established, where government officials provided comprehensive explanations of initiatives to the villagers. Let's now take a look at other stories making news today. Chief Minister of India's eastern state of West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee, on Wednesday announced that she is breaking away from the India bloc and will be contesting Lok Sabha elections alone. The decision sent a shockwave to opposition alliance, who were earlier discussing the seat sharing with Congress for 2024 elections. India's President Draupadi Murmu inaugurated Kaushal Bhavan, a new building for Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship in New Delhi. The President also visited exhibition and interacted with beneficiaries of various government schemes. Every year on January 24th, India observes National Girl Child Day. The day is observed to highlight various challenges faced by girls in every sphere of their lives. It promotes girls' education, their basic rights for overall development of society. India's Ministry of Women and Child Development launched this day in 2008. India's Directorate General of Civil Aviation has fined Air India with around $132,000 for violating safety norms on Wednesday. Air India reportedly operated leased Boeing 777 aircraft for direct flights of around 16 hours to and from San Francisco on the west coast of the United States. In sports, Indian women's team beat Poland in the inaugural edition of FIH Hockey Women's World Cup in Muscat, Oman. The Indian team is being led by experienced goalkeeper Rajni Etemarpu, defeated Poland by 5-4 in Muscat. For India, Khan Mumtaz and Deepika Soreng scored 2 goals each, while Kujur Mariana netted once. The Indian women's team is included in Pool C alongside the United States of America, Poland and Namibia. And the Indian men's hockey team take on France in the four-nation tournament in Cape Town city of South Africa. The week-long tournament features France, the Netherlands, India and hosts South Africa. In the earlier match, India thrashed France 4-0 as Harmanpreet Singh scored a brace. Lalit Upadhyay and vice-captain Hardik Singh also scored 1 goal each. India will play host South Africa on 26 January and finish the tour with a match against the Netherlands on the 28th of this month. India's western state of Maharashtra leads the medal tally at the 6th Khelo India Youth Games, closely followed by Tamil Nadu, while Haryana and Delhi are at the 3rd place. Maharashtra has bagged 19 gold, 18 silver and 23 bronze medals. The Games are witnessing participation of over 5,600 young athletes in 26 sports. That includes archery, athletics and badminton. It will culminate on 31st of January. India's southern state of Tamil Nadu is hosting these games. Indian star Rohan Bopanna made Grand Slam history as he progressed to the semi-finals of the Australian Open 2024 men's doubles event. Bopanna and his partner Matthew Ebden reached the semi-finals with a straight sets win against the Argentine pair of Maximo Gonzalez and Andres Motleni. Bopanna will become world number 1 for the first time in his career, when next ATP doubles rankings will be released after the ongoing Australian Open. Childhood obsession for medals introduced Chandigarh Sapna to sports. The journey started with yoga, but then she eventually picked up judo. Sapna is now a proud owner of 12 medals. That includes a 2nd Khelo India Youth Games gold, which she won in the under 40 kg category here on Sunday. Here's a report that tells you more about Sapna's journey.
Khelo India Youth Games is giving wings to the dreams of players like Sapna. Hailing from Chandigarh, Sapna, who is a judoka, aims for a gold at Olympics. Coming from a humble background, challenges never slowed down Sapna's dream rush. 17-year-old Sapna had deep passion for sports in early years. While taking up sports, she never feared anything and strided forward with confidence. On being asked about her ultimate dream, Sapna says she only sees a gold for the country. There are many players like Sapna who are participating to create history for the nation. Khelo India Games is not just a sports event, but a talent powerhouse that is creating future champions. Deepika Mehto's report for DD India.
More power to Sapna. That's all in this edition of DD India Live. Let us know your thoughts on news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights and authentic information.
Turning crisis into opportunity. Transforming ideas into action. Stories of real change. Tales of sustainable solution. This series is going to tell stories